How do you feel about big dicks? We got Sarah J on the casting couch.
Yes.
She's never done this before.
You are not to have sex with other girls, but she's not. Fuck that shit.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you personally
Shoulder fuckers.
What's up, guys? Hopefully you enjoyed that new trailer. I'm a big fan of that, so I'm playing it every chance I get. All right, so wanted to do a fun little podcast. A lot of people in the comments were talking about the Rochelle Ryan interview. Some people were like, yo, dude, you handled that shit test real well. Some people were like, yo, bro, you failed. So I want to kind of break it down. I thought it would be a good learning opportunity to kind of expand on two things. One, how to handle shit tests in general. And two, how do you handle, a situation where girls potentially disrespecting you? So let's start off with the what happened, right? So basically, and I'm gonna play this whole thing. So basically, I was on the podcast, had Rochelle Ryan on, and she randomly called me thirsty, right? So let's actually start playing that, and then I'll comment as we go along, and then I'll comment on shit tests and potential disrespect in general. So let me share the screen. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take questions afterwards. So anything you guys are curious about, I will answer. All right, so let's share the screen. Chrome tab. There we go. All right. All right, so let's get into it. So let's find when it happened. Somewhere around this mark.
I don't know. I think you're disgusting. And then you're like, what?
It was a little earlier.
Hours. And it was it was like good dick too.
Would she smash a bald guy? It's a super chat.
It's a what?
A super chat. That's like when people pay money to have their questions answered.
Oh,
when you hook up
gotcha.
with a guy who's bald.
I mean, it depends what he looks like.
Let's take
Let's say Johnny Sins.
Oh yeah, I'm working with Johnny Sins on Sunday.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
He's in Miami?
Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought he lived in like Hawaii or something.
Well, everybody like travels around and stuff.
Can you introduce me? I want to get him on for a podcast.
Oh my gosh. You are the ultimate fanboy. Holy Moses.
I'm not a fanboy. I don't like
you
jerk
are.
off.
It's okay. You can admit it. You are.
I'm definitely not. No, I don't.
I'm already getting fanboy vibes from you.
Damn, girl, putting me down like that. Like what? Like a fanboy vibe for Johnny Sins or just everyone?
Just everyone.
Believe it or not, I don't watch nearly as much porn as you would think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I used to when I was younger.
Are you thirsty?
For pussy? For porn? For what?
Everything. You seem like you're that thirsty dude.
Damn, you're just putting me down left and right.
I'm seeing if
What do you think? I'm like harass Johnny Sins?
No,
I'm like a
I mean,
podcaster. Like,
are you thirsty? Like you're out of the grocery.
All right. So I'll be honest. This completely caught me off guard. The reason is that usually, well, first of all, the vast majority of my interviews go well. But if I sense that the interview is potentially not going well, right? Hang on, let me change the screen. If I sense that the interview is potentially not going well, I can tell that ahead of time, and I'm prepared for it. So the few times where I've had a little verbal back and forth with chicks, I could tell it was coming. I could kind of see like, okay, she's getting pissed off. This one was completely out of left field because the context was I asked her for an interview with Johnny Sins, right, who's like a male porn star, and she said like thirsty. So I was like, does she think I'm like a fanboy of this guy? Like I'm gonna harass him? I was like, does she just like not understand what my motivation is? Now, after the podcast, we kind of actually, we had a good discussion, ended things off on a good note. So it wasn't like, there's some like big thing or something like that. Rochelle didn't mean any harm or anything like that. But anyway, so after that, I found out that she has this mindset that a lot of girls do, that things should just happen. That if you're a guy, that you should just kind of go with the flow and things will naturally happen. And if you're taking some kind of conscious steps to maximize your chances of meeting a girl, then that's like weird. A lot of girls operate by this mindset that things should just be serendipitous and things should just, fall into place, which is really not how it works. And again, that's just a different perspective. A few girls think that way. It's easy to think that, especially if you're an attractive girl, because things just happen for you. So as a hot girl with a big booty, she's going through life, and dudes are just approaching her left and right. So to her, it seems like, oh yeah, like, things are just happening, right? I don't have to do anything. I have to try. I just go through my day-to-day life, and romance just falls into my lap, right? And the counter examples that she gave was like, well, I know this like, athlete who doesn't need to try. But those are like the top 0.01%. The vast majority of guys do need to try. Like you can't just fall into, you just don't fall into pussy unless like you're a famous athlete or a celebrity or something like that, right? So I think this is just one of those things that is just a difference in how she thinks. But again, that's like a common perspective that some women have. So, okay, so let's break this down. So there's two ways to look at this. In terms of purely a shit test, so if my goal was to smash her, right, like that was like we're on a date, then that would have been a fail to the shit test, right? Because I got defensive, right? So, and I kept bringing it up, right? So that would have been a fail. The way to pass that, if I'm treating it purely as a shit test, would have been to say something like, there's two ways actually. One is to exaggerate. I'd be like, yeah, I really could use some water. Can you get me some? Right? Like, oh, you said I'm thirsty. No, I actually had a big bottle of water, so I'm good. Like misinterpret what she's saying, and to the point where we just make a big joke out of it. That's one way. The second way to pass a shit test is to go on the offensive. So what I could have done is I could have been like, what are you talking about? You were telling me earlier how you were creeping on celebrities on their Instagrams and trying to bang dudes. Like, who's the thirsty one, right? Go on the offensive, right? Getting defensive, even if you don't, even if it's logical, is more or less a fail to the shit test. Now, the way that I'm looking at it is not just me banging the chick, right? Which, like small odds of that happening in the first place. That she had told me that before the podcast that she had a commitment afterwards. So like just in general, it's not going to happen, right? Most of the time, like a very small percentage of my guests do I hook up with. From a podcast perspective is like, I want to push that. I want to figure out like where that's coming from. I'm not going to treat it like a shit test. I want to create some entertainment for the audience and unpack her thoughts, right? My goal is, this is the difference that a lot of guys are confused about, is not to prove a point to her. It's to prove a point to the audience, right? So my thought isn't, okay, how do I convince her I'm not thirsty? My goal is how do I unpack her thoughts for the audience and create as much value and entertainment as possible. So those are kind of like the two ways that you can look at it. But so I think it's interesting. If you look at it in terms of a shit test, yeah, that's not how you really pass the shit test, right? You want to either one playfully exaggerate, like be like, oh, cool, yeah. Oh, I just drank a big bottle of water, so I'm good, right? And then you move on. Or is you go on the offensive, right? Getting defensive. But, if I just dismiss this as a shit test, there'd be less value in the audience. But the second component is that honestly, it completely caught me off guard. Just simply because of the topic matter. But anyway, so we talked at the interview, like there's no hard feelings. We are, she like kind of apologized afterwards. I think the second thing, so I want to get back into the disrespect thing. So I think Fresh and Fit has confused a lot of guys about how you treat someone potentially disrespecting you. So there's a few things you need to keep in mind. So first of all, the way Myron handles it is not a good way to handle it. So his reaction whenever there's any perceived disrespect is to get super overreactive and overreact and kick the girl out, right? Which is a really fucking dumb strategy for many reasons. The biggest reason why it's a dumb strategy if you're a podcast host is because that girl then goes home, tells all her friends not to go on the show, right? And then you never get a high quality guest again. This is the reason why Fresh and Fit only can get like ghetto ratchet girls nowadays, because all the normal girls and the attractive girls have been told by their friends not to go on the show. So like, yeah, sure, I can like my fucking Game of Thrones shit. So that's like the issue that they're kind of in, is that he basically just developed a very bad reputation. So that's dumb. The second reason is it actually lowers your value in the person's mind. Like being really thin-skinned, where like you're super prickly and you take offense to everything, is not actually a good way to go through life. You're going to be constantly triggered, and people are going to think you're an idiot and like you have no emotional mastery. I remember, and to me it's funny because when I was in like middle school and high school, we used to actually make fun of people like that. Like my group of friends were like if there was someone who just was super sensitive to shit, like we would make fun of that person. We'd be like, yo, this person is a fucking retard, right? Because they're like super sensitive. So it's not a good thing to be super sensitive. Like as a guy, What you really want is shit to roll off your shoulders, like you don't care. But the second thing you need to look at is there malicious intent? That's the biggest factor. So malicious intent basically means, is this person trying to put you down? Is this person trying to, I don't know, like make a fool out of you, or did they just say something dumb? Now, majority of time, it's the latter. Majority of the time, there's no malicious intent. You have to look at that, right? So I would say in Fresh and Fit's all of their kick out, there has been a few instances where there was malicious intent, like that chick who spit on Myron's face. Like, she clearly went to that podcast, trying to, like, basically make a fool out of Myron. And there's been other cases like that. So that's like definitely a thing, right? But most of their kickouts, there was no malicious intent. It's just what happened was the girl got triggered. She said something in the heat of the moment, and then Myron was super thin-skinned, and he like flipped the fuck out. So that's basically it. So in this situation, I could tell there's no malicious intent. Like, I just could tell that she was like kind of, especially when I pressed her on it, she like kind of kept going like sideways. She's like, I don't know, I can just tell. And yeah, again, like, I wish I kind of kept recording after the podcast ended because we had a good discussion. But she basically, her perspective was, anyone who takes any kind of initiative when it comes to women is like, thirsty because it should just happen, which again is a faulty mindset. Okay, let me play a little bit more and then we'll take some questions.
Grocery store and you're just like sniffing, like, who can I get? Who can I talk to?
I'm not sniffing like an animal, but like if I see a pretty girl, I will talk to her.
See,
Like
you're thirsty.
But you're making it sound like it's a bad thing, guys.
So yeah, that's basically her mindset. Oh, like, because you will go up and talk to a girl, that makes you thirsty. Like, no, that's like the only way as a man who's not a celebrity, you will have a good sex life, aside from like being married or something.
You should talk to a pretty girl.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, how would you meet guys if no guy ever came up and talked to you? If no guys showed balls or initiative?
I mean, women do it too. I mean, I've approached men.
Right, but I'm sure you prefer when a guy takes initiative.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, but
So that involves the guy coming up and
you're
talking.
thirsty though.
I like the ad hominem attack. It's like, but I don't know. You're making some points, but you're thirsty.
What makes me thirsty?
I can just tell.
Like what
I can
specifically?
just tell.
Well, you have to like back that up.
I can just tell.
I can't be like, yo, I think you're like, I don't know. I think you're disgusting. And then you're like, what? Why? And I'm like, I don't know. I can just tell.
I know you are.
Like, I don't know what this is
He's
based on.
laughing.
I mean, okay, I guess. I'll take it. This might be the first time I've ever had someone insult me on my own show.
I'm not insulting you.
Yeah, you are. You call me thirsty.
You're thirsty.
I mean, you're saying it in a negative way.
No.
Wow. Okay. I see how it is. All because I asked you for introduction, Johnny Sins.
No, I could just tell.
Oh, anyway.
You're like, you go to the grocery store, you're all up, like, I don't know. I feel like if you're content, like, you're not so like on the hunt all the time.
Yeah, so that basically is, so like if you're content, like what she's getting at is that if you're a guy who has game, then you don't need to try to make it happen. But again, that relies on the faulty assumption that as a man, things will just fall into place for you, which is like clearly not the key. Like, that will never happen. Again, unless you're a celebrity. So I just thought this would be an interesting breakdown. Yeah, obviously there's no hard feelings at all. Like, we ended things off on a good note. I'd happily collab with her again. Hopefully no one like decides to like harass her or something like that about that. There's like no like insult or anything like that. I just thought this would be like a good opportunity to do a breakdown. Anyway, there's the clip keeps going, so you guys can if you want to see the original video, it's one of our most recent videos. But I mean, I think those are really the highlights. Actually, what I was thinking is we can break down some of the other live streams, not with me, because I've never really had shit like this happen, but with maybe Allende or Fresh and Fit. Let me know in the comments if you guys will find that valuable. If we break down like other situations, there was a potential of like a shit test or perceived disrespect. Okay. All right, let's take some questions. Yeah, we're not going to go for too long. Nice. I was hoping Peter would comment on this. One step ahead. Do you think you can, once you get to a certain level of cloud, cold approach becomes a sign of low value? Could the reason be why? No, I don't think I'm anywhere near that level of cloud. honestly, I think that, yeah, sure, for like the pickup community, yeah, I'm like up there, but like the pickup community is like completely irrelevant to the mainstream community. So even if you're the most popular guy in the pickup community, which I'm not, you're still like no one in like the regular celeb community or whatever, because the pickup community is so niche. Um, but no, I don't think. I think even as a celebrity, you can still cold approach. I don't think it's a sign of low value. Also, as a side note, I'd love for you to get together, Johnny, since for a podcast. Yeah, me too. I would love to see that podcast happen. That's why I was wanting her to. That's why I wanted her to introduce me. Alex does have an above average appetite for pussy. We got it. To be honest, I really do not. You just hear more about it because I talk about it all the time because of my channel. Believe it or not, I would say my sex drive is actually below average. I actually would like to improve my sex drive. I would say like I'm fully content having sex twice a week, right? Like, yeah, my sex drive is just like on the lower end, I think. So I would say not. It's just because of what I do. It seems that way. Uh, this it should just happen to us. So brain dead. So many people have it for many areas of life, not just dating. Yeah, yeah. You can never just hope for things to happen. I'm gonna bring it back up. Okay. Uh, if 32-year-old woman doesn't have sex with a younger after third grade, does it mean a trash and problem he got in the morning, or she's just looking long term? Neither, honestly. I mean, I don't really buy the fact that she was talking about how she doesn't have sex until the third, fourth date. I didn't want to be rude, but I severely doubt that. Uh, there's just no way. I'm just not buying that part. I mean, that's a common thing that women say. Every time we have a podcast, women always say, "Oh, well, I don't do that on the first date." Blah blah blah. Yeah, maybe with some guys you don't, but with a lot of guys, I'm sure you do. Uh, keep it non-reactive and dig deep. Why she thinks that way. Okay, let's see what else. I think you missed a great opportunity to dig deeper into her delusion and a respectful, constructive conversation. I've been great content. Yeah, I could have. The problem was that we're getting towards the end of the podcast. So she told me before starting that she can only go for an hour, and we were already like at the hour mark. So if it happened earlier, for sure. Okay, let's see what else we got. Hit her up again. She wants to review. What the fuck? Myron handles this situation similarly. He asks the girl to back up her because Ashley doesn't just kick the girl out until she becomes disrespectful. Not really. He gets super reactive and defensive like every fucking time. And he usually does kick out a girl for no reason. I think that if this was on the Fresh and Fit set, this girl would have been kicked out ages ago. How is 1/3 of relation from cloud goal going, Alex? If you can figure it out, teach us this. This would be badass. Lol. It's going, I guess. I mean, I have, still, it's fucking tough because my Instagram got banned. So that limits me, fucking Fresh and Fit hacking my Instagram. Unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be much teachable there because it's not applicable to the average person. It's applicable to me because I have a YouTube channel and, TikTok, and I'm coming up in the cloud hierarchy or whatever. I don't think it's something that is applicable to the average person, unfortunately. Any tips on dealing with a girl that's concerned about getting COVID symptoms to still have a high chance to get a date with her? Honestly, just tell her you're vaccinated or something like that, or tell her that you had it, whatever, something like that. I think something along the lines of that is going to be your best bet. But honestly, if someone's super paranoid about that, you're probably not going to get a date. Just for the record, I'm not saying lie. I'm just saying, a little bit of exaggeration. Hey, user, you didn't seem like flaky type line. I got a girl to promise to go out with me 2 hours later. Teaching works. Don't put up with the girl's BS. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad it works. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not a matter of putting up with the BS. It doesn't like affect me in any way. Again, you can't be like thin-skinned or whatever. It wasn't really like really did catch me off guard though, because it's just like the context was so random. Because when I asked her for an introduction, to a dude, that's what that's what triggered it, which really caught me off guard. Like, at first I was thinking, like, does she legitimately think I'm like a fanboy of this guy? Like, I'm like jerk off to all his porn. Like, does she not realize they have a podcast where I interview porn stars? Do you think female porn stars could ever be satisfied with the average dude in bed? Yeah, I do think so. How many girls on your podcast actually know what your results are like? The 100 plus 8 and the fringing. I think a good amount of them do. I bring it up fairly often. I mean, I've talked about that quite often during the podcast if it's applicable. So I think a decent amount. Okay, let's actually we'll play a little fresh and fit clip and maybe do a little bit more of a breakdown. So let me find a good one. Fresh. We'll just Google fresh and fit kick out. There's probably so many. Okay, let's jump into this one.
Stating biological fact that women date up.
We hate women.
Okay.
Please tell us.
You don't hate women. I never said you hated women, and I don't know the exact fucking encyclopedia definition of misogyny.
Okay, so you were incorrect in your assessment calling us a misogynist.
Calling us misogynists.
But you give that vibe. And this whole entire podcast is that vibe.
Tell us how we've been misogynistic.
And you've been accused of that multiple times, so obviously it's true, you know? It's something that people feel towards this podcast.
Feeling and facts are two different things. Prove that we are factually misogynistic.
So I want to comment on that. So this is the reason why they keep getting this accusation. It largely has to do with a vibe. Girls largely operate on vibes, right? So he's like, oh, but facts over feelings, blah, blah, blah. That's not how girls operate. They largely operate on vibe. If you want to have a very logical discussion, then get a fucking professor on your show. But a random 21-year-old drunk girl is not going to be operating on logic. She's operating largely on feelings and vibe. That's just how people work in general. So, but anyway, so what I think happens is they feel this very standoffish, kind of bitter, resentful vibe that Myron has, and then they just like they don't know how to put it into words. Because it is something that's hard to put into words. So they're like misogynistic. And there are elements like especially the fact that, for example, if you're a girl and you get there, like they take your cell phone away, but if you're a guy, they don't. Like that is a big double standard, right? Like, you know what I mean? Another thing is like, you know, from everything I've heard, like every chick who's been on is that like, okay, let me give you an idea. When a girl comes into my house for a podcast, I give her a hug, I introduce her, offer her a drink, I ask her if she wants anything. I thank her for coming. You know, I treat her like a guest, right? That's coming to my house, like an honored guest. Or not an honored guest, but like someone who I'm pleased to be there. But what I've heard, the way it works at Fresh and Fit is like you get there. It's not like Myron or Fresh greet you. It's like whatever, the tech guy. And he's like, apparently there's like a attitude right from the start. All right, girls, I need everyone to listen. You guys got to sign this form. You can't talk over Myron. So it starts off on like a very negative vibe. And that's what, triggers that. Pretty much every time they have a guest on, the chicks are like, you're misogynistic, right? Because they don't know how to put into words the weird vibe that they're feeling. Okay, let's keep going.
What is the definition of a fact to you? Because obviously you don't know.
Truth.
Truth.
What is truth?
Prove that we're misogynists.
So where is
You made
the
a claim.
threshold that makes it truth versus
We
opinion?
literally had misogyny on the screen. Prove that
Look,
we hate
you're
women.
going-
Prove that we hate women. You can't. Can you do it?
Differentiate, since you want to.
Yeah, that's Myron is a big fan of like using these arguments that he knows he can win. Yeah, you're not going to prove that he hates women because there's no proof unless he goes live on there and says, "Hey, I think women are inferior to men," which you'd have to be pretty fucking dumb to do. It's the vibe that the girls are feeling. That's what they're trying to say. So he's like saying, "Oh, prove that I hate women." Yeah, they're not going to be able to prove that. Right? Because it's not something that's easily provable because it's a feeling, it's a vibe. You can prove that Myron is resentful, that Myron is that Myron fucking gets overreactive, that he largely operates in his feelings, that, he's afraid of debate. Those are all things that can be proven, that he has no game. These are things that we can prove, but misogyny is not something you're going to prove. Anyway, I'm going on a little bit of a side tangent, so let's get back into this.
Definitions. Differentiate between truth and opinion. Since you don't have a specific threshold.
I'm confused. At this point, I'm confused.
not.
Because this is a clown
Listen,
world.
I'm
now at
done
this point.
talking about this, to be honest.
No. We are not going to stop talking about this
I
until you.
am going to stop
No.
talking about this.
Here's the thing. You're not going to call us misogynists on our platform and not substantiate your claim. How are we misogynistic? Or you can say, I made a mistake and I said the wrong thing. You can say,
I don't like the way you speak to me, or you are sexist, or whatever you want to claim, but we're not misogynists. We're not.
Okay, if it makes you sleep at night, you're not misogynistic, you're sexist as hell.
Oh, so I
that I
want to
can
change the
say.
word? Okay, cool.
Same shit, right?
Okay.
Same exact shit.
No, I'm not saying funny.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Reality is sexist.
There you go. Traditions are sexist.
Reality
Why does
is
everyone
sexist.
think I have a
But
swimsuit
you're
on?
sexist.
I'm sexist?
But that's what you're saying, right? Reality is sexist, and you abide by reality. And
I
you-
abide by reality. I acknowledge biological differences between men and women, which
But you think that's
inherently is sexist. Right and wrong are two different. Like, reality is amoral. Did I not say that earlier? Reality is amoral. I believe that women should be treated as human beings just like men, and that they should have all the same rights and privileges as men. But for me to sit here and lie and say men and women are the same does not operate in reality. We're very different.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I
that's
have
sexist.
sat
But
here
there's
through
nothing
this whole
better or
conversation, and
worse
I
about
have
either of
not
us.
felt.
We're better at
we
certain
both-
things. We're better at
Okay,
certain things.
But we both
Which
bring
is
things to
sexist,
the
We
'cause
table.
we're different.
are.
Because we're
We
different.
are.
Because we're
We
different.
both
Better
bring
in certain things.
Hold on,
bring
hold on,
things to the
hold on,
table.
hold on. So
I want to
speak.
say something because I have sat here the whole time. And I
Let me
haven't
fast
felt
forward a little
one
bit because
time.
this is
You're
boring.
young. It's hard or 2 or 1 or something. But he's
Opinion
coming
is wrong.
from where you're coming from is, and just receive the
I'm gonna
next
do
part
that
of
in
this because we're
silence.
almost at the end of this show, and just see if there's anything that they can offer for the remainder of this time that you
Let's
could.
fast forward.
I mean, you want to know that you're right all the time.
No, it's
No,
just that.
no, you're right. You think that you're
All right.
right. I think we've been talking for 3 hours and we've just been
It's just hard with
Talking.
the tone you're coming at us with.
Tone.
It's not
So that's exactly what I was saying. It's a vibe thing, right? Notice the way that I handle when someone like comes at me, right? Like just the difference in my vibe and the vibe. It's like it's not my vibe is more playful, more fun. I don't really give a shit versus just super uptight and so that's exactly goes to what I was saying, that women are not operating on like a logical level, right? They're not looking for little things that he said that might be misogynistic. They're going off the vibe and the emotions they're feeling.
not the tone. It's just you.
Alright,
Like
how you say
you
it.
think that you're
Alright,
right
yeah.
all the time.
Okay.
You're right all the time, and you want to know that you're right all the time.
No, it's
No,
just that.
no, you're right all the
It's
time.
just that
That's
I'm
what it
going
is.
to. Here's the thing. I'm not attacking you guys. I'm attacking your arguments. I'm not making ad hominem attacks, even though you guys have made ad hominem attacks on me. I've strictly attacked your arguments and your claims and asked you to substantiate them to include us being misogynistic, which you weren't even able to do that. So all I'm saying is that if you're going to make claims, be prepared to back it up, because I'm going to challenge you on it.
No matter what we say, you're gonna challenge it.
Glad I'm not a political science major.
If I say your shirt is,
Do you mind
Black-
not touching me?
if I say your shirt is black, you're like, no,
You've touched me
it's
several
dark,
times
dark.
at this point.
This is so funny. Like this is like definition of someone who's like uptight. Can you not touch me? Like it's funny that Myron literally acts like a fucking chick. This is something that an uptight chick is gonna say. Can you not touch me? Like again, going back to the vibe thing I was saying earlier. I could never imagine in a million years, like even if I'm having like a fucking intense debate with a girl and she touches me, I'm like, can you not touch me? Like, yo, who gives a fuck?
Oh my
You're
god,
like,
come
no,
on
it's
now.
dark, dark
Don't
brown.
start.
Is
Where's
it?
the love? Where's the love?
Oh,
Let's
Is there,
continue.
is there an issue with me
My
exerting
issue
boundaries?
with
Oh,
you.
you're not wanting to be touched?
I'm not gonna touch you.
She's touched me several times, but come on.
We're right next to each
But
other.
hold on,
That's just how I talk.
whoa.
Yeah, if it was you.
But again, if it was the other way around, let's hit sexism. If it was the other way
No,
around
you
and I
could've been
touched
like,
her,
oh my
Not
god,
at all. I
that's
wouldn't
just-
have said
that's
shit.
and
just
I
how
stopped- and I
Because I'm a
said-
normal person and I'm not
No.
insecure
Let me
and
let me
literally.
insecure.
you too.
War shaming language.
Yes.
Guys, literally, you can't make this up. If I had touched her and she said, "Don't touch me," I would have immediately been like this, whatever. But if I said, "Come on," whatever, that is sexism in itself, because there's different treatment for the same.
It's funny because Myron wants to prove that there's sexism, but the sexism is the other way. That there's sexism against men, which is just like there's elements of truth to it, but like the overall message is largely nonsense.
thing. And I acknowledge this. I'm not here to cry about it. I'm not here to
I love how the chick is just staring into the fucking at the ceiling. She's like, my fucking god.
cry about it. I just acknowledge that reality is sexist. I'm not gonna. You're.
Embarrassment.
She's
It's not even
touched
embarrassment,
me
but when
several
that's what
times,
that one.
and I'm voicing my
Okay,
concern
listen,
now.
let's-
Stop touching me, please.
Can
Your
I say
concern?
something whenever I
My
can?
concern.
Can I say something whenever I can? What can I say something?
No.
One that's
You're
just
extremely disrespectful.
Okay.
So again, so he tells her she's disrespectful. Why? Like, is she more disrespectful than him? They're having a debate, discussion. Like, he's setting such a negative vibe. And what is she supposed to like reply to it in a super chipper, positive way? let's try to figure out what was super disrespectful
To
here.
embarrass and raise tension
No,
in the
no,
room.
no. It's not even
That's it.
embarrassment. It's not
She's
even
touched me.
embarrassment.
She's
It's not even
touched
embarrassment.
me
But one
several
that's what
times.
that one.
And I'm voicing my
Okay,
concern
listen,
now.
let's-
Stop touching me, please.
So like again, so it's funny because like men are starting to think that this is how an alpha acts, but there's nothing alpha about being super thin-skinned and being like this sensitive little fucking Karen. At the end of the day, Myron is like a male version of a Karen. We should start calling it a Myron, where you're like so fucking sensitive, like, oh, touch me, don't touch me. Like, how is that in the world like alpha behavior? Is just beyond me.
Can I say something? Whenever I
My
can.
concern.
Can I say something? Whenever I can. What? Can I say something?
No.
One. That's
You're
just.
extremely
So she says, "Can I say something?" And he's like, "You're extremely disrespectful." Like, what? She's asking you if she can get her point across. So yeah, okay.
disrespectful.
Okay.
All right, let's finish this.
You're
Yes.
extremely
Can I
disrespectful.
just say something?
Because I'm
Sure,
over
go
this
ahead.
conversation.
One, I've touched her. I've touched you, and I apologize. That's just how I talk. I'm a very
Okay.
like ADHD person. Like I just talked.
Yeah,
I'm
it's fine.
sorry.
It's
Like
fine.
I
It's cool.
apologize. I don't mean. And then you
But-
said not to touch you. I won't touch you.
Okay, it's fine.
That's it.
Yeah.
And there's no argument. That's it. Okay, I won't touch you.
Yeah, but I mean, I just found it very
But-
funny how
but-
she had a point of contention with that.
So,
And that's
hey,
just,
Joanna, can you hold your friend accountable by
Like, notice how negative the vibe is in the room, like how fucking tense and negative it is. Like, just want to point that out. So that's what the girls are feeling.
saying, "Oh, come on"? Like, really?
Why would it be hard?
Because you shamed them
Oh
For
my god.
for
So look at what's going on here. They're fucking harping on the fact that the chick touched him. She touched him, like not in an aggressive way. Obviously, if she was like hitting him or something like that, that would be a big no-no. But she lightly touched him, like in a playful, whatever, having a conversation, banter type of way, and they just keep fucking harping on that.
For her
touching
going like this?
for touching him.
If it was the other way around, it would not be just this or come on.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
I would have
not
been like,
even
if
reacted
I
to that.
told you, oh, don't touch me, and you said, okay, that's it. That's it.
I mean,
Like,
if you
we would've
groped
been
me
saying-
is one thing, but literally going like this, you're just trying to raise tension in the room for no reason. Because you don't like us, literally.
But that's actually a very good point. That he is trying to raise the tension in the room for no reason, basically.
No,
What
no,
we
you know
have
what?
to say.
Oh,
okay,
hey, Joanna,
yeah.
you handled it correctly. For sure. Like he told you, don't touch him, and then you handled it correctly. Understand?
Yeah, but your friend is
yeah,
another,
she went
a whole
another
other
level.
thing.
So
I
Right.
extremely dismissive and disrespectful to the platform, but it's fine because this just shows what we've been saying the whole time.
I don't respect it.
You don't?
I'll tell you, I don't.
Okay, well then you know what? You can get up and leave.
yeah, let's boot him out.
You can get up and leave at this point.
Okay, so this is fucking
All right, let's
hilarious.
go.
If you're not going to respect
So,
the.
see what
Okay, both of you can
That's
leave.
fine.
Okay, so I think this is actually a really good example. I picked this one at random, but this one was fucking perfect. Okay, so so he's like, "You're extremely disrespectful, and you're disrespectful to the platform." And she's like, responds to that same level of energy. Well, she's like, "Well, I don't respect that. I don't respect the platform." Well, you can get the fuck out. Like what? And this is the reason why Fresh and Fit don't get normal girls anymore. The only reason they can get on is ratchet girls, because girls show their friends the shit and they're like, "Yo, this guy's a fucking bitch. Like, what the fuck is wrong with him? Like, he made such a big deal out of being touched." So this is not how you handle perceived disrespect, right? You know, like the correct way to handle that. Like, first of all, I didn't even see there was much perceived disrespect. If they want to have a logical discussion, that's fine. But chick touches you, if that really makes you uncomfortable, like, damn girl, you're sexually harassing the shit out of me, touching me left and right here. If I didn't know any better, I would say you're trying to bang me, right? That's how you would handle that, and the whole thing is addressed, right? Like, you don't need to fucking, "Can you not touch me? Can you not touch me?" So yeah, I think this was a pretty interesting example. All right, let's take some more questions. Have you ever dwelled in porn? I have made a amateur porno. It's on the internet. I don't think I'm ever going to actually work in porn. That's not really, I don't foresee that happening. We have a video on this, so check it out. Can you still get matches if you don't pay on Tinder? Yes, but you might as well. It's not that expensive. What do you think of Allende's interviews compared to Meyer? Allende is obviously way more like alpha. Like Allende, you can tell like he's actually alpha. He does get pretty combative, but he does it in a playful way, right? So I think Allende is like 1,000 times better at handling shit test and potential disrespect. Question. I kind of noticed that you aren't as alpha as you used to be anymore in your videos from 1 year ago. You squinted your eyes more, you had deeper voice, etc. Was that I squinted my eyes more? I think you're confusing alphaness with my vision getting bad. I got bad vision, so that's why you might think that my eyes are squinting more. I think my voice is exactly the same. I don't think it's changed from a year ago because I'm taking the same test dose. So yeah, I don't know really what you're referring to. It was Rochelle Ryan. I'm probably autistic or something. Why is it okay to hug a stranger? Isn't that weird? How can I talk myself into this? Not really. It's a sign. Like, I mean, obviously it depends on the context, but it's just how, like, when I meet a girl, I give her a hug, unless it's in like a work setting, but in any kind of social setting, I meet a girl, every girl who comes in the studio, any girl in a social setting, give her a hug, give her a kiss on the cheek. That's how I greet girls. Hey, that Victoria was in Russian video before yours was. No, it's not coincidence. Allende, I believe either he referred me to her, I do. We share guests. So when we have a guest on, we'll often message each other and be like, yo, can you introduce me to that person? Sometimes Tinder matches disappear from messages list as they curl a match, and then reappear in new matches. What happens there? Does the app crash due to a flood of new matches? Yeah, the Tinder app is just glitchy in general. So it kind of is what it is. Okay. Oh, someone said that it was echoing. My bad. My bad about that. Hopefully, it still got the message across. When the porn star chick was making fun of Alice, I think it's because she felt triggered by having been fucked over by a guy that doesn't like the fact she likes, or just she likes can just meet someone else. I actually don't think it was triggered at all. I don't think she got triggered. I think it was the way I view reality is quite different than the way she views reality, and she didn't know how to like voice that. Again, I wish we kept recording after the podcast ended, but again, I was on a time constraint, so I told her I would keep it an hour or less, and I wanted to like keep my promise. So yeah, so we kind of we turned it off, and then we had like a pretty good discussion. So yeah, I just think that it just has to do with her viewing reality differently than me and not knowing how to express that. This is pretty well said. Fresh and fat is so boring. They go in circles talking a lot about saying nothing until they can kick someone out. Yep. They never said they were alpha males. Yes, they fucking whenever they ask this, they deny it. Like, but you should as a dating coach, as a podcaster, as a whatever, they call themselves high value men. As a high value man, you should be able to call yourself an alpha male. I have no problem calling myself an alpha male if I'm asked that question. So that's like their only defense. Well, I never said I was an alpha male. Okay, so that means you're a beta male then. Like, is that the argument you're making? Because you're acting like a beta male. You're denying being an alpha male, so that makes you a beta male. If roles were reversed, you get canceled. No, you wouldn't. I mean, no, you would not. Like if you're having a podcast and you touch a girl and she says, "Oh, can you not touch me?" Like, come on, you would not get canceled for that. I don't think so. There's some elements of a double standard, of course, but that's not one. You should react to some of the clips from Tim Cass of Fresh and Fit. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to like not constantly focus on the Fresh and Fit content unless it's like super interesting. Oh, Tim Pool fired back about the DMCA strikes. Oh, okay, I'll have to take a look at this. How much does frame control matter if you're getting what you want from a match? Aishi's asking for a number. That you don't need, like, if you're getting what you want, then that's good. You don't need to do anything else. Like, if things are going well, you don't need to like frame control every match. Frame control is about like if you guys have a different frame and she wants something, she's doing something that you don't want, then yeah, that's where frame control comes in. But if she's doing what you want, you don't need to try to frame control her. Yeah, so I kind of answer that in the beginning. It went well. Like we just had, like when I say it went well, I don't mean like we banged or something. I just mean we had like a good discussion. I ended things off on a good note. I walked her out. Gave her a hug. She gave me a hug. Like ended things off good. Like there's no kind of beef or conflict or anything like that. I think she's a nice girl. I don't have anything bad to say about her by any stretch. I was just listening to this today, the Drake and the hot sauce story. I don't fucking know. I was just literally listening to this. Apparently, Drake put hot sauce in a condom because he was worried about the girl like putting the jizz in her pussy and getting herself pregnant. But I don't understand why he didn't just like flush the condom. I don't know. The whole thing is pretty weird. Alex, would you say you have above average appetite for a variety of girls? I feel like most guys are those bang 100 girls per. Yeah, I do probably have an above average appetite when it comes to variety. I do very much enjoy, crave variety. What can you tell a girl who's worried her vagina is too small and your dick is too large and it will be painful for her? I would just say, don't worry, I'm going to get you warmed up with my lips and it's going to slide right in. Something like that. What is the best second tier city for dating? Well, I don't know because I haven't been to all of them, but I'm assuming something like Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, Albuquerque, one of those, something like that. What's one thing you wish you would have done back in high school that you should have done? Try to get laid. I was so worried about what everyone was thinking. I didn't even try with girls. Alex, any tips on how to find ambitious, high-level friends, people that have your back, feel like people, just luck into good friends? Yeah, I mean, you want to, there should be some kind of value proposition. So you want to have something that you offer, some kind of value, some reason why people who don't know you want to hang out with you. Second of all is, you can find friends around activity. So pickup, for example, find guys in the pickup community. Yeah, that would be my take on that. What happened to Max? I'd love to hear his cold approach on this channel. Yeah, so me and Max, we're still friends. I like Max. We just had a little bit of a different vision for, the business and playing with fire. So, we felt like it would be better to keep our brands separate. But, I like Max a lot. Like if he comes to Miami, I'll definitely have him on the podcast. I'll definitely get a drink with him. So can you make a video? Yeah, so actually I already have that video. It's like called like my top entrepreneur tips or something like that. Does being bald man take you out of the top 10% if you're in shape, tall, above? Yeah, I think you can still be in the top 10% and be bold. I am 32. What would be recommended alcohols to have in my apartment, such as red wine, any kind of cocktail you have? I mean, you can see we have like a bar in the background, but just have like the big ones: vodka, tequila, whiskey, wine, and beer, and then you're covered. I want to increase my leg count, but I'm worried I'll get an STD. Just use, like you're already doing it. Just wear a condom and you're going to be okay. Like people really like overblow the risk here, like so much. Like if you're wearing a condom, as a man, your chances of transmission of getting something are like microscopically small. You're probably just as likely to get hit by a car. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. Would you say you should sleep with a girl on the first, second date if you're more looking for long term? For me, I like to sleep with a girl on the first date. At the very least, second date. I would not wait longer. Where can we email if you have something not for the forums? Yeah, playingwithfirechannel@gmail.com. When are you going to admit that dating in the U.S. is officially dead? Men need to location max town, Colombia, Brazil, etc. Yeah, like this accusation is pretty funny because I've said that many times that you can. It's called sexual arbitrage, that you can get a big boost if you travel. But for a lot of guys, moving to a different country is not practical. So I'm not going to just go on this channel and say, move to Colombia, right? That's not practical for a lot of guys who are watching this video. So I'm going to give them tips that they can do here. Also, all the same stuff that works here is going to work in Colombia and those countries. So if you have a shitty profile, you might as well improve your profile and get it right, and then go to Colombia, not the other way around. Because if you have a shitty profile, you have no game. Even in Colombia and Thailand, you're going to struggle. So yeah, nor would I say that it's officially dead. That implies that you can't meet anyone. It's harder. It's gotten harder. It's got more competitive, but you can still meet people. Like I meet girls fairly often from online dating, so it's not completely dead. Out of all the girls you date, do you ever see many that you would have a long-term relationship with? Small percentage, like Natty was one. My other girlfriends as well. Small percentage. Would you ever collab with Austin Dunham? Yeah, I want to collab with him. We haven't, we're still trying to set it up. He's kind of busy guy. Would you ever have mainstream family dating coach podcast host? Most women really believe guys can get laid easily. Well, family dating coach podcast. Yeah, the thing is, I'm not gonna invite on someone that's like super, I don't know, quote unquote blue pilled and doesn't understand the game, just for the sake of appearing family friendly. So, I try to be like pretty straightforward and honest. Okay. Oh, he means, would you ever have a mainstream female dating coach podcast host? Yeah, maybe if I met someone who I really like, but she would have to contribute a lot of value. Maybe if like Kezia Noble lived in the US or something like that, or Courtney Ryan lived in Miami. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it would just have to be the right girl. I think most girls wouldn't be really good at that, but there's some who would. I just haven't met any. Okay. I still do all my fitness training based upon Austin. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like I'm fairly fond of Austin's content, so I haven't watched too much of it, but I would totally, collab with him. So hopefully it happens. Kind of the ball's in his court at this point. All right, we're kind of getting to the end of the questions. Actually, it went pretty fast today. If you guys have any last questions, get them in. This one's gonna be a quick one. Once you sleep with girls, should you talk about red pill stuff with them? I mean, if you want to, you don't need to. Like a lot of these concepts bore the shit out of girls. Thanks for the Q&A, Alex. But these are awesome. Should be a once a week thing. Yeah, man. Actually, we actually do these once a week, believe it or not. Sometimes I even do them twice a week. But yeah, I'll try to do them more often. When I said dating is dead in the US, I don't mean you can't meet women. I mean so many Western women are so toxic. Best to travel next to meet some females. Okay, yeah, but so what do you do if you can't move to a different country? What's your solution for the 80-90% of guys who fall into that category? Like, what is your solution there? Would you recommend banging easy 5s and 6 on a dry spell? Yeah, I mean, it's a 6, and to get out of the dry spell, yeah, why not? I wouldn't go like super low, but yeah, I mean, 6 is decent. What's a good GIF and voicemail for Hinge profile? I don't know. I haven't really looked at Hinge in a while, so I know it's a new feature. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. Hey, bro, how to get a one night stand with a girl that is your friend? Well, you're probably not going to get a one night stand with a girl that's your friend because she probably friend zoned you. So that's going to be really tricky. Check out the video I have called "How to Get Out of the Friend Zone," but that's tough. Alex, what is percentage of men would you say have game? A small percentage. Why do guys still have a hard time? Small percentage, less than 10%. If it's a small percentage, why do guys with games still have a hard time? Because the dating marketplace is pretty competitive. It depends on how you define hard time. Like a lot of people would look at me and they would say, "Oh, like you were so easy for you. You bang like 1 or 2 girls a week, right? Or even like at my lowest, you're banging like 2 girls a month. You have a girlfriend, like it's so easy for you." But like for me, I might look at that and be like, "Oh, it's fucking tough because I like to bang 2 girls a week and I'm banging maybe 1 girl a week or something like that." So it's all a matter of perspective on whether it's tough or not. When the fact that Miami girls are harder at making dating sense aren't that special? No, no, I wouldn't say so. Miami is just more competitive. Would you ever consider getting Alex Marking's account on the show? Yeah, I would. I would get him on. Are you and Nat still together? Yeah, we're still together. I saw her last night. Any tips on going to her place here is impossible? Yeah, I have a video called "How to Get Laid Even If You Live with Your Parents," one of my earliest videos. So check that out. What about STDs from BJs? Extremely statistically unlikely to happen. Just don't get a blowjob from a girl who has an active herpes outbreak. No, not that I know of. Fresh and Fit always say women play the game on easy mode when it comes to getting sex. Same time, women actually want a relationship. So I guess the logic as women have it as hard. Yeah, so there's not much truth there. They do play the game on extreme easy mode when it comes to sex. Most women do want relationships, or not most, but a good percentage of them, and that becomes much harder for a girl. So for girls are the gatekeepers of sex. Men are the gatekeepers of relationships, generally speaking. Yeah, I have several videos on that, so check that out. Nope, I do not worry about that. If your game sucks in the West, you won't get much better results in the country. Yeah, you might get a little bit better, but still, if your game sucks, you're going to struggle no matter where you go. What is your 1 to 10 scale? Would you ever do one? Every guy has a different definition of an 8. We're talking about what I think I am or what I think girls are. So I think of myself as like a 6.57 in terms of like purely in terms of sexual market value, just looks and stuff like that and status. Compared to where I live. In terms of chicks, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like we all have our own types, but let me see if I can pick off an example of like I'm trying to think of a good example. What would be like my okay, so the chick I did the video with, the Tinder experiment, where the chick that was like kind of overweight or whatever, to me, she's like a 2.5. So that's my 2.5. My 5 would be trying to think what would be like my 5. Like there's a lot of girls I have in my mind, but it's got to be someone that I would know. Okay, let's think in terms of celebrities. So for me, like an 8 would be like Penelope Cruz when she was young or something like that. And that would be like my 8. In terms of porn stars, like Lana Rhoades would be like a 9. Riley Reid would be like a 6.57. Mia Khalifa in her, when she was doing porn would be like a 7.5, maybe even 8, something like that. What's her name? Leela Starr would be like a 9, 9.5. Also, thoughts on living in an Asian country, Bangkok, Philippines. Do you know anyone actively doing that with similar style cooking? Yeah, there's some people who do it. Personally, not something I want, but there's a lot of guys who do tend to move there. Hey, Alex, do you still work out? Yeah, I do. Do you tend to overly bring up the topic of sex on a date? Yeah, I mean, it's more, I would say, rely on community intent. I probably rely on communicating intent more non-verbally, I would say. What would you say are the main differences between the way you run game and John Anthony? We do a lot of things in common. I would say that his approach is much more focused around volume versus mine is like more like a sniper versus his is more of like a shotgun in some ways. But he can afford to do higher volume because he gets more matches. So I don't know. There's not many. We do a lot of things similarly. Do you ever call multiple booty calls for threesomes? No, haven't done that often. No. What do you think about my comment on your video? Do you agree or disagree? You have to remind me what your comment was. I don't remember. So can you let me know what your comment was? How haven't you gotten tired of sex after all these years? Shake us all as well. No, sex is fucking awesome, especially when it's with hot new girls. So, no. What kind of test pills do you take? Well, so it's not pills I take to make my voice deeper. I take testosterone replacement therapy. I don't do that for my voice. I do that because I had low testosterone, which was giving me all kinds of negative health effects. One of the side effects is that made my voice deeper. If you like Latinas, why not travel Colombia, Brazil regularly, then grind out Miami competing with celebrities? Are we talking about for me or for the average person? Again, like I've said this like 5 times, the average person doesn't have the luxury of traveling to a third world country like every time they want to get laid. It's only something that a small percentage of people can do. So that's not like really a valid strategy for most people. Second of all, for me personally, there's other reasons why I live in the US, aside from just pussy. Like there's more to my life than just fucking new chicks. Easier to get laid. That's motivation. But also, there's a lot of reasons why I'm in the US. A lot of it is business opportunities, collabs. I got my studio here. I got all my friends here. I got my girlfriend here. Safety that you get from living in a first world country, better health system, like so many reasons. So there's more to life than just purely banging chicks. But again, It's not practical for most people. How can I maximize volume with the online game as a truck driver kind of profession? I feel like it's a deal breaker as a relative. Yeah, that is tough. I don't know. Whenever you're like stuck at like when you're ever like a truck stop or you're killing time, just Tinder as much as possible. But it's tough because you're not in a city for a long period of time. I don't know, man. I honestly don't really have an answer. I'd have to think about that. But that's tough. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Okay, let's take a few more questions. We'll do like 5 or 6 more questions. Alex, can you talk about the travel you've done? What ages were you in the different places? Tips you learned to make it better in terms of pickup and non-pickup. I've traveled. Okay, so I've been to New Zealand, Fiji, parts of Eastern Europe like Poland, Hungary, Finland, Czech Republic, and I've been to Colombia and Mexico. That's basically it, and parts of the U.S. and like Hawaii. Terms I've learned to make it better in terms of pickup and non-pickup, stay at a place for more than a few days. Try to stay wherever you go for like at least a week because it takes time to get acclimatized. Secondly is don't neglect everything else. It's pretty tempting when you go to a new place to just start focusing on pussy, but don't neglect your health, your gym training, and all that stuff, your work. That's a mistake I used to make when I was initially traveling. So yeah, have fun, but don't just have fun. Like get your shit done as well. Why don't you and John, believe in routines or generating attraction? Do you think a guy can just be himself? Because I think that most chicks can see right through routines and it becomes super obvious. I think vast majority of the time when guys do routines, it's super obvious, and that actually lowers your value instead of building value. I think it's a lot more attractive to a girl who has a guy who just doesn't give a shit, who doesn't have like some like line or routine that he needs to use because he's just confident, he doesn't give a shit. It's harder, but it works a lot better. My comment, she seemed a bit of like reserved for you. Just ask her some truthful question. I think that's why she called. No, she's a porn star. She's not reserved at all. No, she wasn't. She didn't give me the reserved vibe at all. Nor do I think I asked her intrusive questions. In terms of like, she's been on like Howard Stern and all those shows. The kinds of questions she gets on there are way more intrusive. So no, I don't think it had anything to do with that. How do you feel on tier T versus how you felt now and before? Well, I have a video on that, but it helped with certain things. It wasn't like, like some people overblow it. I think it lowered my baseline anxiety a little bit. It helped me put on muscle. It helped me a little bit with sex. Gave me a bit more motivation. But stuff like that, right? It wasn't like a drastic change. It's not like popping Molly and you feel like radically different. Yeah, we'll take one last question. Okay. Do you think the red pill pickup channel niche is mainstream at this point? No, I don't. Fresh and Fit, Kevin Samuels alone have about 2 million subs. That's a lot of people. It is in some ways, but in a lot of ways, it's not. No, I don't think. I mean, I think that Kevin Samuels is probably one of the most red pill, one of the most mainstream guys in the community. But no, I don't think it's even close to mainstream. I mean, how would you go about pulling a girl who doesn't speak English? Just use Google Translate? Yeah, basically. Any more black pill podcasts and debunks? Yes. So I have one with what's his name? Alexander Grace coming up on Tuesday. And I think he's kind of like on the red pill, black pill end of the spectrum. So that should be an interesting debate. Yeah. You should do a podcast with Hamza. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with him. I've heard that name, so I'll have to like look into him. Okay, yeah, basically went for like about an hour, answered some questions, good stuff. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this little live Q&A. We're gonna do another podcast on Monday. We're gonna go for longer, so it should be good. What else? Yeah, dropping videos next week as always. So make sure you guys smash the subscribe button. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Catch you all next time.